Hi guys, welcome back to Chins and Giggles. Unfortunately, we do not have Karina in the building, y'all.
I'm Karina. Today I wanted to chill. No makeup, look a little different.
No makeup, bitch. I'm done. Oh my God, why I didn't mean to call my man a bitch, y'all. It's not me calling him that. What did I say?
I don't know. But
I said, bitch, I'm dead. What did I say?
That's how you guys kind of talk, though.
I feel like, you being like so
girl
weird.
And all that?
Yeah, we have Bryan.
That's your guys' way to talk.
Yeah, babe. So me and Karina have this thing where we try not to cut each other off.
Oh. I'm already messed up.
It's okay.
You're like fired. No,
it's fine. I will say it's really weird that Karina's not here. It just feels I was having a little bit of social anxiety, even though it's my man. I'm like, wait.
I'm done.
It's so weird not having her here, but she was feeling a little bit under the weather. We have Bryan, which is my husband. If you guys don't know already, how do you feel? Because he's been on the podcast, I think, twice. This is his third time.
Yeah, I've been on it, but just behind the camera doing
and
y'all asking you guys questions or whatever.
But he's really on video. So,
but other than that, even on our vlog, but even on your guys' main channels, we'll come out in the background or some shit. I don't
know. You're like, I'm used to this shit already.
Kinda.
So we do this thing every. Girl. Karina's not here, y'all. I don't know what to do. No, every episode we talk about not me getting shy in front of my husband. What the fuck?
All right, guys. So I'm gonna take over real quick. So today we're gonna talk about
every episode we talk about how was our week. So let's just jump right in, cause So how was your week, babe?
Well,
we literally live the same life.
I was like, You would know this, no? No, but what? We had the whole little barbecue.
What else did we do?
Every week we do a little barbecue or something.
Your mom came over on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, my suegra was over. We had some pizza.
Yeah, she brought over. Well, if you guys didn't know,
she's a queen.
Me and my brother, we were gonna have our babies at the same time. So he has a little son. We call him Chogs, but he's Santiago Jr. And my mom came over and. Yeah, he come up he's so adorable.
Yeah, that little boy,
he's so thick.
Yeah, that little boy actually, speaking of that, which we'll get a lot into our grief and how we deal with it, just because I feel like that's just such a...
Got some Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, Bryan's sipping on the Dr. Pepper. We love ASMR. My suegra came over and she brought Santi, right? Mm-hmm. You guys call him Santi? His name's Santiago, after your brother. Mm-hmm. But you guys call him Chogs because why?
Because my dad, his name's Chago. Well, not, but they call him Chago.
Nickname,
so
right?
Since I guess he's the mini. Because my dad's also Santiago.
He's a king. He's a thick king. He's getting
a third.
Thick the house. This baby, is he? Oh.
Because my dad's Santiago.
He's not a junior.
Oh, he is, but
he's not, because your brother's junior. Whoa. Isn't that crazy, you guys? Our baby's name, we obviously had chose it way before I was even pregnant with him. Mm-hmm. But isn't that crazy that they were both literally very similar age? Me and Christina were literally 2 days apart. It was something that close. We were the exact same weeks, just 2 days apart.
I remember it was under a week.
And their baby was named after his dad and this. Isn't that crazy? And they also had their name already chosen, which is so funny. But speaking of that, that little boy, I'm jumping right in. We actually met him. He was about 5 months. He was already 5 months old, because me and Bryan couldn't even see that little boy, because it was a reminder of our baby, because they're literally only 2 days apart, where it was very that little boy is the exact almost age. I mean, literally, every task, everything that this little boy does, our baby would have been in that same position. So it was really hard to...
people to track, the 1 month of this and the 2 months of this and blah.
Our baby would have been that exact size. Would he have been as thick as him or more? We don't know that, but that baby, is our reminder. And I feel a lot of people deal with this with pregnancies. If you're pregnant with somebody else, I deal with it every day with other friends that were pregnant with me, but he's the one that's obviously he's part of the family. So that one's very, very close. And they were very close in age. Mm-hmm. So we've gotten very comfortable now being around him. When I met him, I literally cried because it was just so many emotions. But now, like, we're like, I feel like every time I see him now, like, I do feel a little bit of sadness in me. Like, oh, wow, this was like how our baby would be. But he is a thick icon. Like, I think the more I see him, the more, like, comfortable I'm getting.
The more we kind of look over that, where it's
where I'm actually, like,
I don't know,
like, really, like,
family and everything.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I feel like you have to really live it. Like, without wanting to, you start thinking, like, comparing. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense. So
it's a thing.
We're getting used to seeing him. He came over. He's an actual king. He's like the cutest thing in the world. He's so thick. He's so freaking cute. I was mind blown how huge he was. But then again, you know, like, we're talking about how he was 6 months or he was going to be 6 months, right? Or I don't know. Something like that. And it was like, again, I'm like, oh my God, like Briancito would have been 6 months. But Briancito was premature. So realistically, like, he would have been older. But like, gestation wise, like, that was his age too. So it's like, that's kind of crazy, you know? Like, let me know if you guys could relate to this. You know, when I'm sure the miscarriages, when you're pregnant with somebody and you have a miscarriage, I'm sure like that other child you were pregnant with pregnant with the mom, it's a constant reminder, and it's going to be a constant reminder for forever. You know, this is someone that's like part of our family, and it's not this child's fault, of course, but that's pretty interesting, like, that you brought that up. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, like, that's crazy. But obviously this poor child is a king. It's not his fault. What happened? Adorable. You know, it's such a cutie. But yeah, they came over. How did we just like start talking about? Yeah, I'm telling you, there's a lot we had. Like, I feel like we get
sidetracked so many times.
Yeah, but it's good that you're here because we get so many questions, and I feel like naturally, like, I had you guys ask on Instagram, and without us wanting to, like, naturally, there's so many questions about like our grief and how we deal with it, and it's like, you know, which we never ever mind talking about our baby. Like, I want to talk as much about him.
At the same time, it helps us, but we help other, because at the same, when all this happened to us, think of it, we were brand new to it. So what do? We try to Google and like whatever kind of helps, kind of thing. So at the same time, what if someone's out there just listening and they don't know how to get like any questions answered or anything?
Yeah, and it never makes me uncomfortable to talk about my son, because it's, for me, it's like, it's my son. I want to talk about him. I want to keep his memory alive. So for me, I'm like, that's me honoring my baby
every day.
So I don't mind talking about, you know, whatever questions you guys have. Obviously, some, you know, it's like personal, and I don't know, but I never ever mind talking about him. But what was I saying? Yeah, she went over, and that's another thing too, babe. Like, I'm really close to my family, y'all. Not that I'm trying to like expose Bryan or anything.
No, but I also think it's a thing. Well, actually, I don't know, because I feel like a lot of men do feel like, oh, like once you get married or anything, it's kind of like
but
more.
Okay, don't say that, because, babe, so I'm really close to my family. I'm
thinking like, think of holidays, like Christmas and all that.
Okay. But let me explain, babe, because you're making it seem like I don't let you see your family. No. This is not what it's about. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Let's go back a little bit. So when it comes to my family, I cannot go like a week without seeing them. Like, I will at least see my family like 2 times out of the week. I have to really be like extremely busy, and even then I will drop anything and everything to like be with my family. So when it comes to Bryan, I feel like, you know, I don't know, like Bryan's a little bit more like not that close, and it's not anything like he doesn't have anything like against his family. He just naturally, like, he has a great relationship with his mom, but I don't know what is it where I feel like I have to tell him like, hey, we need to go see your mom. Like, Bryan's mom will message me that she like misses him, and I'm like, my suegra is literally telling me that, like, she's hinting me something. And like, I always remind her, I'm like, I tell him to come visit you guys. Like, the day that they came over, I told them, hey, let's go watch a movie. And then she told me she had Santi. So we were like, okay, maybe we could watch a movie here. But like, especially since we had our baby, like, if he had lived and like he never visited me, like it would break my heart. And you know, babe, how much we love him. Like imagine the love. Oh, no. That's one thing when you have a baby, you recognize the love that your parents have for you. So babe, like she probably misses you all the time. And like it's not to like expose Bryan, because a lot of people go through this thing where like sometimes you just forget to like you know, convivir and like be with family. And like I always tell Bryan, like if my suegra is listening right now, like she know, like I always tell her, because I'm like I would never want her to think that I'm that person that stops him from visiting like his family, because I know there are a lot of bitter women out there, unfortunately, that will be like, it's either me or your family, which is so fucked up. You know, depending on the scenario, like there's some crazy scenarios, but I could never see myself doing that. But you know, she came over, and I just hope like we continue to like, you know, visit her, because I'm like, y'all, like, babe, you know, they have a great relationship. I just think like Bryan,
no, you know what? I feel like
I don't know what it is. Am I exposing you?
Not really,
Wait, what's happening here?
But like I feel like
I don't mean it in a bad way.
No, I just feel like growing up, like I don't know, because of everything going on, I always had that little separation where I still like, obviously I love my family, but I just like I do want to go visit them and all that, but it's just a little different from everybody else's, you know.
Which in that point, like I don't
like even my family knows that, you know, where it's like. Things growing up just were different, and
yeah, that's why sometimes I don't like to like fully like judge. Of course, like I'm not judging like the closeness of it. I'm just very like, you know, visit your family while they're here. You know, I'm just very on that. I feel like my mom has always like told me like, you know,
that's why I'm saying you guys grew up very different.
Yeah, how it is. Yeah, it's very very different. Yeah. But we're trying, and that's all that matters, because sometimes there is chains you need to break.
Definitely.
You know,
if anything, in my family, I'm the one that holds that freaking chain all together.
But it was fun, girl. We really getting deep here. It was great having her over, and honestly, she is such a queen. We do see her like here and there, but I don't know. Like maybe this is your sign out there, if you guys are listening, you know, to really encourage your partners to go. Sometimes it could happen. It could happen, especially in the holidays. Obviously, like I want to be with my family, but like I know how the importance of like Bryan's family. So you have to learn how to balance certain things. And, you know, like I said, this is not even to like, I'm not saying this like in any negative way. It's just very like, you know, sometimes you have to encourage your partner, because I know there is people doing the complete opposite, which is like so toxic in my opinion. But
yeah, because, you know, well, that's another thing too. I feel some people are like, it's couple wise. You know how they say like, oh, the mother-in-law like bad kind of thing.
Yeah, she's a great mother-in-law.
I feel like like we got like
she's the kind of Bryan's mom. Like she literally is the kind of person that I'll like talk to, like girl, queen, like, and I'm like, ooh, is this like crossing boundaries? Like sometimes I'm like I don't know how to explain it. Like
watch her start calling
like there's certain like Karina's suegra, right? Like I see her like this like lady where there's certain boundaries, you know what I mean? Like with my mom too, like, you know what I mean?
Because you know
like
what?
You see them as maybe because your mom's like really young.
My mom and my dad, they're both still like, I don't know why, like party animals. Not exactly like my mom goes clubbing and all that shit.
I think it's like just the way she is, because I'll literally be like, period, queen, and I'm like, I'm talking to you like if you or like just a friend, where I'm like queen shit, and I'm like, but like when it comes to like, hey queen, or like I'm like, okay, is this weird like, that I'm like parties, talking to her like
you'll
this?
Be like, oh my god, let's take a shot, and my mom would be like, yeah, the boom. Like,
yeah, I feel like I see her. It's like a very like friendship thing. So like yeah. She's like a freaking queen, and
I love my family.
We
grew up different.
It's just
because like even my dad, when we went to Rosarita, he met us at the freaking bar and drank and everything.
I know Bryan's dad, if you guys don't know like his history, he is in Mexico. So he he's out there, and that's another thing too, like we really want to start trying to go more, and that's something that I think we it's good to recognize that we need to like visit more. I'm just such a family person, and for me, it's like so important. So it doesn't hurt to try. I guess that's what I'm saying. I think as a wife, like I'm doing my part in trying to have you see them more and stuff, which it's not hurting anybody, you know? But yeah, that was our weekend. Oh my God.
Next
also,
weekend, we go see my family. No?
Next week, I'll keep y'all updated. But speaking of our weekend, we actually, so on Saturday, right? Or was that Sunday?
Sunday.
No,
Saturday.
Saturday, randomly, we were like at home and Karina was like, oh, we're going to have a barbecue. Her and Elizabeth had planned a barbecue. And I was like, period. Like, I guess I'll go through, like super last minute. We're hanging out, you know, and I didn't think my friend Crystal, she's another very close friend. I didn't think she was going to come, but she ended up coming after all. And we want to tell you guys about this experience, you know, going back to talking about our son, because we love talking about her baby.
And she just had a baby too. So
she just had
an adorable little girl.
She has a beautiful 2-month-old, and she was telling me, you know, what were we talking about? We always like to, me and Crystal, we always like to talk about our grief, because unfortunately, my friend Crystal lost her mom. It's almost going to be 2 years. So when I lost my baby, like we're always keeping up with each other, asking each other how we are. Like, I feel like the times that we've seen each other, like every time we talk about our grief, like it's something we could relate about. So, you know, it was another day we're talking about our grief, and it was a very beautiful experience that I even told Bryan, I'm like, do you want to share this? Like, are you comfortable sharing this? You know? And you know, obviously we both are comfortable because we're talking about it. But Crystal's man, he is someone that, and like Crystal said, it sounds crazy to some people. To me, it doesn't, because I'm a strong believer in God. But you know, she was telling me how he just has a very, very close relationship to God, like where he feels like he can communicate. And I 100% believe that there are people that have that like extra gift to be able to fully have like conversations with God. And I hope that makes sense. I think if you're a believer in God, you understand where I'm going with it. I feel like there is some people that can have that deeper relationship and fully, you know, feel the Holy Spirit and communicate with God. So, Crystal was kind of telling me that around the time that obviously our baby was really sick, they were praying for us, right? And this is something that everybody was doing, which we are still till this day so grateful for, that so many people prayed for him. And she started telling me how, she told me, you know, like I said, she's like, I know you're going to think I'm crazy. It sounds crazy, but like he has a very strong connection to God, like really, really strong connection. Like it's almost like he has a gift. And she kind of told me a little bit, and I was like shocked, but like I think you were like, the guys were just like hanging out separately from us, and then he comes back and he starts telling us.
I mean, we're all chilling like in the front. Actually, we're chilling by the workout area.
Oh,
because we're all talking about buying weights and stuff. Yeah.
Queen. But he comes back, and like Crystal's like, oh, you know, tell them about it. And he starts telling us, you know, out of respect, he never told us in that time. And I understand.
He was saying that he, like, it wasn't his place.
It wasn't his place. And I get it. Around that time, like when my baby was alive, hearing that, I would have felt so broken, you know? Same. So he was telling us how, you know, it was another day, another prayer, like fully, you know, like how people were just praying for us. And that there was, even Crystal told me, she's like, you could just feel it in the room. Like it was a full, like he was fully deep in his prayer. And he was just telling us that one night, you know, he was again like on his knees praying, and like he fully like was having a conversation with God. Like he fully felt like the Holy Spirit. Yeah. And it was so intense, and he felt God tell him, to not pray for the baby because the baby was going to be okay,
but in
heaven, to pray for Mayra and Bryan. And he even like was so, he didn't really like the news he got, but he was so sure of it because obviously he knew he was like having a conversation with God, and that he even stopped the prayer, right? Is that what he said? And he told Crystal, he's like, he's saying to pray for them. The baby's gonna go to heaven. Like super confident about it. And that even Crystal was like, don't say that. And he was like, that's what God is telling me. And it's so crazy now to hear that because he didn't even realize that in that very moment, as he was telling me that, God was using him.
Yeah.
Because literally recently, like this Saturday when we saw him, I'm like, I never thought I would get answers. And am I fully at peace? No. Will I ever be? No. But to think that this was God's plan all along, even prior to my baby passing, for God to have like told him, he's coming to heaven with me. He's going to be okay.
Me and you were even saying, like, even within the hospital, how we're saying that God will use people to
use people
signs, you know? And
exactly.
Like how,
and that was another, because the pastor that baptized our baby, he baptized him at the hospital. I never like really have spoken about this, but there was a Christian pastor, and this is why we kind of started gearing more to like Christianity. And I'm not like an exact religion. I'm a believer in God, you know, but like gearing more towards like Christianity.
I don't consider myself like religious. I consider myself like a believer.
Yeah. So this Christian pastor, he's the one that baptized our baby. And anytime like the doctors would give us news, like it was just like, I'm sorry. Like I know the doctors like do everything that they can, right? If this was the case for every baby, no baby would be going home safe, like healthy.
Even at that, even little sicknesses and little issues.
Like
we forget that doctors do. I'm just saying for anybody. You know,
I have a lot of
basis.
I have a lot of respect for doctors, but just like naturally, I think like when things don't go your way, when someone passes, like you hold a lot of anger to doctors.
Yeah.
He had a big chance of surviving, is what I'm trying to say. I will never get answers, ever get answers. But what I'm trying to say is to hear that this was God's plan, period, put me in so much, I don't want to say full peace. I could never have that come out of me. But he has no idea how much I needed to hear that. Yeah. That it was God's plan. I think like with anybody, when you lose someone tragically, it's you wonder if that was even part of God's plan, because it was so fucking horrible that I'm like, was this, I mean, this is just sometimes, I know there was no room for like anything evil because we prayed so much, and the amount of times like I would be in that room like declaring if there was anything like evil to like fucking leave. But I know in my heart there wasn't, you know, but like sometimes I do think, I'm like, this is so fucking horrible that this was a fucking devil to ruin our lives. You know what I mean? Like those are the things I think about. So to hear that this was God's plan, to know that my baby was going to be okay, our baby was going to be okay in heaven and he heard this before our baby even went to heaven. Yeah. That was reassurance to me that this was God's plan. So me and Bryan on our ride back, we were so like, and he said so much, you guys, like this guy was literally, he had no idea prior to him like coming up to us and talk about it before Crystal told him. In my head, I was like, God, please use him, please use him, please use him. You know, it's just like, I was in my head, like, use him, God, use him, God. Like, I trust in you, like, use him, use him. And as he started talking, like, I was literally thinking, like, God is using him. Mm-hmm. Like, I literally was just asking you, like, seconds ago, please use him. Like, Crystal saying that this guy has a really close relationship with you. If it's true, like, use him right now. I need answers. and he was using him. Everything that he was saying, you guys, like, nobody
it's kind of
really knew his story.
We were like needing to hear.
Exactly.
It was just perfect, I guess.
It was just such a beautiful experience. And I'm mind blown. Like, me and Bryan were so, it's still tragic, doesn't change much, but I will always hold that in my heart that it was very much God's plan. And I think for the most part, I always try to think that, but the human nature in us, we always question things, and it's just like, you will always question things. That comes with any death. You're always going to question it. You're always going to think like, well, what if this was different? What if I was at a different hospital? What if I didn't go into preterm labor and like I could have like prevented it? Like, everything you think about, every fucking thing. Like, it's a daily fucking struggle that I think even me and Bryan have gotten so fucking good at hiding like our grief, but like, it is something that you deal with every single fucking day. And it was good to like,
well, that's
hear someone give you like, a little bit of,
you must be so strong. And it's crazy because it's not that we consider ourselves strong or anything like that, but it's just like thrown at your life, and you just
you're just like
deal with it's
learning how to survive with it. It's basically what it's like. So, and we always get signs to reassure us of our baby, but this was like another kind of sign. Yeah, like, I know my baby's in heaven. Remember,
like, for me, I don't like the whole little hand readings or anything like that, but I feel like this is completely different. It was so just natural that he was praying to him. Yeah. And because me, like, I don't like anything like that. Like, I feel like a lot of things are like witchcraft. But
yeah, Bryan's very against like mediums, and we can get into that right now too.
But either way, so I felt that like just from him just having a prayer to God, and he just had this feeling. It was like, it's so different from like, hey, let me read your hand and see what your future holds for you, kind of thing. You get me?
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh my God, like, I don't know, especially it was different. It was just for me like praying to God, like, I don't know.
Yeah, of course. It's like he's not like a medium, this was like a full like one-on-one conversation with God, which is so different. Like, there are people that are mediums, and there are people that are, can have
like mediums because I'm a large.
Okay. Just a heads up, Bryan's a huge jokester, you guys. So a lot of the times, like, people will be like, what? Like, he'll see certain things, and I'm like, you just have to get to know him. But anyways, I've always known my baby's in heaven. That without a question. It was to get confirmation that was God's plan. That's what it is for me. People always tell me like, your baby's safe in heaven. You have nothing to worry about. It's not that. For me, it's like, was this his plan? Like, was this his plan? That's what it is for me. That like, will just eat me alive. This is different. Like, there are people that are talented and could communicate with the dead, which is something that Bryan's kind of like really against. And then there are people like him that like have that one-on-one relationship with God, which is,
I felt like this was
does not come across evil like at all.
A natural thing.
Exactly. So let's just clear that up. He's not like a medium or anything. This was an actual conversation with God. It's incredible. Like, this guy. And also, I'm sorry, babe.
No, I was just going to say, but going back to like you were saying with the whole medium thing and all that, I know you are kind of like, you like to watch a lot of mediums. On like,
before we get into that medium thing, I just really wanted to end that whole other conversation about, which we did talk about on the way back to the house. I was like, this is crazy because this guy was meant to come in Crystal's life in the right time. Yeah. He came into her life, I think, a month after her mom passed away. And even she says, she's like, I would have not survived without this man in my life. To know that a man...
he came in kind of like the perfect timing.
God knew she needed somebody that can literally hold her up in these times. And what better person than someone that has such a beautiful relationship with God? True. When I'm a strong believer, everything happens for a reason. And that man was supposed to come into her life, and he came at the right time to save her. And now they have a beautiful child. Look at God, y'all. It's beautiful. But going back to the medium thing, sorry, I just wanted to finish it off that way because they're perfectly meant for each other. And
but that's what I'm saying. I know you want to see, well, you watch a lot of mediums, but I know you've even said like, oh, you like want to meet one.
Yeah. Okay. I'm very like, I know, especially growing up in a Hispanic household, you hear it a lot. Like, eso no es de Dios. Yeah. Like, the person you think you're connecting with is not the person you're connecting with. You know, like they say, God knows everything. The devil does too.
Well, that's how I kind of grew up. I kind of grew up knowing. We're not knowing. Like I kind of grew up thinking that the devil was sent down to earth, so the devil watches over everything and everyone.
Yeah. So he doesn't know your heart medium, like God does, but he does know a lot.
Will manipulate or to whatever person you think you're talking to.
That's why they say to never say shit out loud when you don't mean it. Because just like God's listening, the devil is listening too. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, the devil was a fallen angel, so he has powers too.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. So I'm really into mediums. And honestly, you guys, like, this is just like me being desperate to like communicate with my son. And I know God knows my heart and I always pray about it. You know, my God, if this is not something you are with, something that you are okay with, that you know this is like bad, just don't guide me to that place. Like I pray about it a lot. I try not to look at videos, but I do. I catch myself going back to them, but I also catch myself stopping myself from them. Mm-hmm. So I look at a lot of videos, especially when like he recently had passed. I mean, I still till this day, it's hard. Like I have my episodes where I'm like fully like so intrigued because it's unfortunate, you know, just being a believer in God, you should know that your baby is in heaven. But I feel like the human nature in us, like we always question like, well, is there an afterlife or do we just die and that's it? And there's no existence after that. You know, like what kind of fucking life would that be, right?
Also, every religion or something has a different belief and all that.
Yeah.
So
I have my beliefs. I'm trying to say that like naturally I question things.
Yeah.
And I think we all do, right?
Yeah,
like
definitely.
But our baby always comes through and he's like, don't be questioning. Like the amount of times we've got, y'all, like I lost count already. Like I really
that's what I'm saying. Back to like his little prayer, I felt that was just so natural.
So natural. Yeah. I always tell Bryan, I'm like, if we told an atheist all of our signs, they would be fucking shocked. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't even know what to say. Like we share certain signs that, you know, we want to share with you guys, but
not every single one.
Not every single one, girl. Yeah. And we are constantly getting signs.
Did I ever tell you like why was like the whole reason why I really didn't like mediums? No. Because once I went down to like, you know, Santa Monica and all that. Mm-hmm. So I went down there to a medium and I asked him for the lotto number and he was wrong.
I fucking knew you were going to come up with some shit. I fucking knew it. I can't stand you right now. He fucking,
you're sitting down.
Babe, we're having a serious conversation.
I know.
Like, yo, I literally was hoping to hear some crazy shit. I was intrigued. I was like, what is he going to say?
Got him.
No, y'all, this is really Bryan all the time. Like, for real. But, I mean, your reason would be like, you know the Bible really well.
Well, that's why. For me, because I've studied several religions or whatever, and this is why I just don't like them. Because for me, religion was always kind of like a separation kind of thing. And I have my beliefs and like don't mind anybody else's beliefs. Everybody's to each their own kind of thing, you know? But growing up, I kind of not like, I don't know. I would just take little things from here and there. And for me, it was just someone like that shouldn't have that type of power, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
like
I
only God has that type of power kind of thing.
I get it.
So even for you, if you, like say they do have those things and it's just, I don't know. I feel it's so different, like how I was saying, how he did it so natural, just like from a prayer and he gets whatever thing. And it's so different from like trying to get these crystals and this and that. Like for me, it's so
that's different. Like, there's difference. There's tarot readers.
It's like the Ouija board. I'm like, hold up.
There's different. I just want to clarify something. there are different people. There are psychics and there are mediums. A medium will communicate with the dead. A psychic will tell you that your future. It will tell you like certain things like that. And there are tarot card readers. I mean, there's different people.
Well, that's not. Maybe I just don't know enough of them or whatever. Like know about it. But
I feel like Bryan will hear medium. He's like, witch, devil worshiper. That person's playing with the Ouija board. I'm like, there are a lot of mediums. I just want to say this. There are a lot of mediums that will tell you that there are strong believers in God and they think that their gift comes from God. So it just depends how you look at it. For me, I get it. The Bible does talk about like psychics and stuff. I'm a huge fan of like Tyler Henry. Mm-hmm. Tyler Henry, he's like very spot on. Very, very spot on. And somebody had asked him once, they were like, you know, because he's like, I'm a believer of God. I feel like God gave me this gift. And she's like, well, that's funny that you say that because...
Wasn't he saying like, I wouldn't say I'm a believer of God, but I know there's a higher power or something like that?
He said that on another TV show, like that there's a higher power, but he didn't say he didn't believe in God. He said that like there is a higher power. I'm sure because there's some people that don't believe in God, but he has said it himself that he thinks his gift is from God. So he believes in God. Yeah. I don't know. I think we could agree and disagree on this. You know, it is what it is, but I do believe that there's talented people out there. I don't know what I was going to say. It's fine. We got to get to these questions already, y'all.
Go off.
There's a lot of questions. I mean, a lot of these are just like about us and like, you know, I did come across.
They're not going to be asking about other people.
No, I know. No. I mean, like, a lot of people are just so curious about our grieving and stuff. Or like, because I always get this question asked.
Which one?
I think I mentioned it on my Instagram, but I don't think we've both answered this. Because people always ask, like, would you name your like second child if it was a boy, like Bryan?
I feel. I don't know, because I'm kind of back and forth on that one. Because I feel like, for me, it's always just going to be Bryan, you know? And then I'm like, but at the same time, I still like, obviously, it's even my name. I love the name. So I'm like, I wouldn't mind his younger brother to like carry on his like name too. You get me? But then some people are saying like, why don't you just do the middle name? So he could still be kind of separate, but at the same time, still carrying that name.
Yeah, I've seen the middle name one. I personally feel like I feel like I've always been kind of like, here I go with like religion and stuff. I used to prior, like before I really got into like, I've always been a believer in God. I just need to put that out there. But prior to me really getting into it and reading the Bible more and just really educating myself, I would always believe in reincarnation. I think even till like my baby's last breath, I literally in that moment, I was like, he's going to come back. Yeah.
Well, I've said it before, like, you know, God is the one that makes the rules. And if he wants to bend them or break them or do whatever he wants to them and bring a life back, he could.
Will be it. Yeah. But me like reading the Bible more now and stuff, like part of me like doesn't believe in reincarnation because he is in heaven. He is in a much better place. Why would he bring him down back to this miserable world we live in? You know what I mean?
And you know what's funny? You know how you're talking about earlier that you and Crystal have this like little bond of helping out each other. Yeah. I feel I had the same thing with Aaron because if you guys follow my channel or whatever, if you guys don't, Epic Monkey, go check it out. Link down below. But like I grew up with his older brother Anthony, and later on in the like whatever chilling, Aaron would come around, and then Anthony passed away, and we still chill with Aaron, and that was his brother. So he talks about his kind of grief with that, and I talk about my grief with Brancito, and then he'll be like, you know, Anthony's telling him all his stories with us and this and that, like, you know, Brancito's being raised by Anthony, and we love it, you know, we're just, I don't know.
And my grandma. There's multiple sides we've gotten, like even my grandma, like we have another crazy, there's just a lot of things we like to cherish ourselves too, but he's being raised by a lot of icons for sure. But
Oh, like wait, we sidetracked again.
Yeah, I know, it's okay. I mean, that's what you guys, the podcast, you know, like
It's just so funny.
natural conversation.
Even on a like right now, on a normal day basis, we'll be talking about something, and then boom, just
it happens all the time. It happens, yeah, all the time. But I what I'm saying is, I don't know if my baby would reincarnate, but I also know that God is the one that made the rules. He could break the rules. If he believes our son needs to come back to us, then, or even if it's part of his soul. I just feel like Bryancito is his own person, physically, even in a soul. And one day, if he does reincarnate, we'll hear it. I'm sure our baby will eventually tell us, like, oh yeah, well, I remember when, like, you know, when someone reincarnates, they tell stories and stuff. So like, I feel like if that is really the case, we'll eventually know it. We've talked about it. I'm like, I just wouldn't be for that, naming him Bryancito, but who knows if one day we're pregnant.
Signs and
no, like even up to like the actual birth. Like if we have a boy and as soon as we meet this little boy, we just know it's him. But I also know like that this is me just talking about it right now, but like I just know like that it's not him. My baby is not replaceable.
No.
You know, like,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, if we even see little things like how we were saying, oh my God, he like looks like him or something like that. That's just that extra little, I don't know, like seeing him within his brothers.
Yeah. So for me, like
sisters,
like I would love for like my other baby to look just like him. I think that's naturally just a comfort thing to like feel him. But like, I know my baby's not replaceable. He will never be. He's his own icon. And just like our other children, they're going to be their own individuals and we're going to love them just as much. But right now it's just hard to like even picture another baby, even though we want one so bad, but it's just so hard to even picture it. And I don't know how we're going to feel in the moment, but I just know that like, we don't want to name our baby Bryan because as much of an icon as he is, and we want to carry his legacy, maybe like a middle name, but like to completely like have another Bryancito just fully take over his name, like that does not feel right with me because what's gonna happen when we're all in heaven? I'm gonna have two Bryancitos running around. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get confused. Like they're gonna get confused when I'm calling one and calling the other. You know what I mean?
Thing one, thing two.
And that's another thing that I mean, maybe you know people that know about reincarnation can give us these answers because if reincarnation is a thing, like so when we all die and my family is reunited again, like. If I have two sons and he reincarnated, does that mean there's only one soul of a child that I have in heaven?
No.
You know? So I don't know. That's why I have a really hard time thinking about that. For me, Bryancito is going to be in heaven protecting his siblings on Earth's side. That's how I think of it. So no, we're not naming him Bryan. Maybe middle name if we would consider it to carry his legacy. Go ahead, babe.
No. I was just thinking about. I was like, no, that don't make sense.
What?
No, because I was gonna say like, no, but you know how like it's your spirit, like it just takes over their body. Like this body, like it's not like we're not taking this body anywhere. This body's gonna stay on Earth. You get me? So it's our spirit or our soul that takes over the body. You
remember I told you? What? I was like, you know how I think of it? Like if there is a thing where like your part of your soul can split. I was like, Bryan, I don't know, like what was it in me? I was just really like deep thinking, and I'm like, what if it's like a bottle of Coke, right? You have this bottle of Coke, like, bitch, what was the reason? Like, why? I was like, you have the bottle of Coke.
Couldn't be Dr. Pepper.
And like, you pour some soda into a cup. Now you got two drinks. It came from the same vessel, but you got two drinks now.
That's why like a soul could split. And part of that soul is up in heaven waiting, doing its, I don't know.
Like Bryancito, it's a weird example, but like Bryancito's that bottle of Coke. And here's this other cup and like part of his soul comes into this cup. Now you got two individuals, but you know that vessel is what is both of that because it came from the same bottle. I sound fucking crazy.
You do.
But if it's possible for part of your soul to come back, I picture it like that. I'm like, okay, that I could be content with. Going to heaven and being like, they connect in a way, but they're still individually themselves. That's the only way that I could be like, okay, because I know I'm going to love the other child just as much. So, I would miss that child also in heaven if it's just one soul. Like, does that make any sense? Like, I don't even know. So that, right? Like, let me know if that Coke theory makes sense, y'all. Like, does it make sense? Is that a theory? Did I just come out with a whole theory myself? Like, whoa. I don't know. Conspiracy theory. Like, does that make sense? Like,
I know, I get you. That's what I'm saying.
Like, it's the same vessel, but a different cup now.
That's what I'm saying. I get the whole, like,
came from the same one.
But
yeah, that's crazy. Maybe. This is actually a really interesting question that we haven't talked about. It says, has it been hard to be intimate after losing your baby? Because it's really hard to be intimate in general. Remember when, obviously I gave birth, I was given like the 40-day mark. And even after that, like, we still waited like weeks upon weeks.
Well, we
went way above that.
Yeah. I feel like it's because at the same time, we're just dealing with so much, I guess you could say, depression and all that, where you
were going through a lot. Yeah, because you're not supposed to have sex for like 40 weeks. No, 40 weeks? Bitch, whoa. 40 days, okay, 40 weeks. No.
We done messed up.
You're not supposed to have sex for over 40 days, I think. Well, obviously, you're down there and all that. You just can't. Like, that's like a thing. Like, doctors will tell you can't.
You just got cut.
But we went past that.
Well, and then
without
also,
having sex.
I think from your C-section,
The C-section, in general, baby, if you have vaginal birth, you just cannot.
No, I know, but also because of this C-section.
It's just birth,
that's
period.
Another wound.
It's birth, period. Yeah, like, period. Does it make it more complicated? Yeah, because, like, you can't do shit, like, for sure. But we went way above the 40 days. And the time that we started becoming active, like, it's just weird. You're not mentally all there. You're constantly thinking about, like, your baby, obviously, because our baby, like, while he was in the NICU, he was sick. But, like, at that time, we couldn't even, like, be active anyways. But, like, once he did, like, unfortunately pass, like, that was, like, nowhere near in our mind. Like, that was the last thing to think about.
Like, even to say it was kind of, like, weird to actually try to get intimate.
Yeah.
Think of it. Like, you're in your deepest depression. You're going to have sex right now?
It's
like,
not possible.
Like, all just there, like, I don't know. It's weird.
God, babe. That's so weird that you're, like...
No, I know, but I'm just, like... You're just not in that mood.
I know. Yeah, no, like, jokes aside, like, it doesn't even cross your mind. So when it comes to that, when you finally do get comfortable, of course, like, there is moments where, like, you can fully, like, block and, like, just be in the moment, right? Yeah. And, like, there is times, and it's still to this day really hard for me, where if I'm just not having a good night and Bryan wants to, like, cuddle and stuff, I'm like, I try sometimes, and I do tell him, I'm like, I'm not having a good night. Like, if I'm already thinking about my baby and I'm already, like, which is a lot of the times at night, like, where I'm, like, super down, it does affect our sex life.
It does. Oh, yeah.
Because I'm not into it. Or, like, God forbid, we're, getting into it and I start, like, obviously feeling sad and thinking about my baby. That's like what the fuck? Like, what are we doing? Like, it just feels so, like, wrong. Like, and, like, a lot of grieving people will say this, like, there's already so much, like, guilt when it comes to even just the simplest things, like going out for drinks. I have a really hard time, like, still doing things without feeling guilty. And let alone, like, I feel like sex, like, I know it's, like, a natural thing, but, like, I'm like, I don't even feel like I don't want to fucking do this. Like, why am I doing this? Like, this is not, I don't know how to explain it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, from the very beginning, how we're saying, it's just so much going on in your head where, one, even on a daily basis, a lot of things just, you're not really,
you feel guilty, one, but
or
two,
something like that. It's something major where you have to, like, get into, where you're just not all there. Like, oh.
Yeah. The one thing is feeling guilty. There, you always feel guilty about a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And then second, even if you're not feeling guilty, sometimes it's just like, it's just, if you're just sad, like, of course you're not going to want to. So it has affected it. Mm-hmm. It's not the same as it used to, of course. And a lot of times, yes, I will just tell him I'm not into it. And I don't have to lie that my head hurts. I'll just tell him like I'm feeling sad. Yeah, like I'll literally tell him like I'm feeling sad. I'm thinking about him. And obviously I don't want to go there, you know? Like that's literally it does affect your sex life. Not in a terrible negative way. Like there is times,
no, but it does affect
like especially in, like we're trying to get pregnant, like we have to be sexually active. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh my God, this is a really funny question because I was just thinking about this morning. Mm-hmm. Could you see yourselves moving out of California?
No.
And again, this has to do with like Briancito for me.
It has to do with a lot, but mainly Briancito. Because at the same time, when we buried our son, they told us if it ever comes down to it, and if you guys need to remove him from this cemetery to another one, or even out of state, whatever it is,
they could
do it. But I love Cali, and then he's already here, and that all our little memories are kind of here, especially with him here, kind of thing. Like, no,
I feel like prior to even everything, I just, especially with more motivation now. I just view life differently where I'm like, life is short. Do whatever the fuck you want to do. And I've always been curious about
moving.
Wildly just moving, not giving a fuck what anybody thinks, and just bouncing. And moving in like in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, you say no, like the middle of nowhere, but where exactly?
Well, not middle of nowhere, but like not California. Okay, like I've thought about like, what was that city, babe, for Simenia?
Minnesota? No, Minneapolis.
It was something like Minneapolis. Isn't that like in...
Wait.
No. It was like towards like the east. It was giving me very hocus pocus energy. Like the city. Not the city, the hometown. That's what it is. I don't like cities. Right? I want to be like in an area where like when you think of...
Connecticut? No.
I don't know.
I forgot.
Like when you think about those like places that are like, there's a lot of greenery and, you know, the houses are fucking huge and they're cheaper and like everything, girl. I be looking at Texas houses and I'm blown away. I'm blown away. I'm like, yo, this is not fair. Like literally you can own a freaking mansion out there.
I know.
I'm like, oh my God, it's insane how cheap it is. So maybe not Texas. Well, there's really beautiful places in Texas that we've been to as well. I remember once there was like this area. It was a beautiful neighborhood and the houses were like drop dead gorgeous. So much greenery. Mm-hmm. That's what I mean in certain areas. And I was blown away at that neighborhood. I was like, I would be one happy gal living there.
You would until you realize how far you are from your mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And honestly,
I wouldn't mind flying out here though, like every other week.
And that's the thing. That is not cheap.
I know. Or like I think about like what other states have we been to? There was another state I can't remember, but it was like very like the neighborhood.
Washington, New York.
No, not those. It was like somewhere on the east, but not New York. It was probably Connecticut. And like the neighborhood. Have you guys watched Hocus Pocus? Like that city, like the neighbors, where I just know Halloween is popping. Mm-hmm. It gave me much that vibe. Oh my God. Like even the style of the homes. Whoa. Like that neighborhood. I'm like, like it's like so nostalgic. Like I've never even lived there, but I'm like,
I think it's also because we were born in Cali where it's like
where fall feels like fall, winter feels like winter, period. I'm here for it. Like I want it to snow. Like that's my dream. Wake up Christmas morning and like, we're not like, who says we can't do that? Who says we cannot live all seasons? Who says we can't wake up in the morning with no snow? Like who says that?
California.
Like, you know what I mean? But like who says that's it?
Well, for California,
because we're in California.
Christmas, we're out there looking like it's Christmas, but burning up because it's 90 degrees, no?
But like
with our coats, no?
You know, like I feel like a lot of the times we think like, oh, I wish like it snowed, or like I wish fall was like the leaves fall and it's actually fall.
Well,
and
that
like
one time we went to Washington, when we saw like actual snow coming from the sky, it was like our
Beautiful.
first time ever, and I was like,
like
I was amazed.
Somebody recommend like if we were to move out of state, like where would be somewhere like ideal? Like that's actually nice that we would fully like not have regrets.
Well,
life is short, babe.
I feel everywhere has its like goods and bads, pros and cons kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because the thing about Cali, you kind of have everything around you, but it's just pricey.
Yeah. I just want to experience all the seasons. That's just like my goal. Like I just really, really, really like, but the only thing that how I was going with Briancito, the only thing that's hard because like, I know we would have to move him with us, and like who knows, like if we end up moving and we don't like that area and now we have to move him back, like I also like don't want to be moving him around like that. It's just like that's so like I don't want to do that. So that's the only thing that kind of gets like in between. I'm like, oh, like him, like I don't want to be moving him around so much. But let us know where you guys think like if we, because I really would consider it, especially now that like I'm really like.
Well, that's all I was asking where, because obviously it's not gonna be like, well, have fun.
I'll do my research, babe. You know I'm always on Zillow.
I know you are.
Like even after we bought a home, like what is a fucking reason? Like I'm still on Zillow, yo. Yep. Like, oh my god. Let's do one more question, and then I think because we've talked a little too much. Oh, this is funny. Is Bryan smarter than a fifth grader? Girl, I think he is.
I don't know.
No, you are. You're definitely. Me and Karina were. No, I was very struggling. I was struggling.
But I feel like if I actually did like questions like that, I don't know everything. Like I feel all our knowledge that we knew from when we were kids, it slowly just crumbles away because you just forget.
Sorry, I'm trying to look for a question.
I could see that. Take your time.
Literally another question. When you guys move to a different state? Like I really want to, you guys. I really want to move, babe. Especially now more than ever. I'm like, life is short. Who told me I can't move? Who's gonna stop me? Like if I'm not married, like girl. But like we both work from home. Like what's the big deal?
No, and I get that, but I feel you just would go insane without your family.
It doesn't hurt to try.
Oh, I know.
I've learned one thing in life. Life is short, and if you want to do it, do it. And we just might. Period.
I'm down.
Like I wouldn't imagine like flying home for Christmas, or like our family flying out to Christmas. Like how fun! Like there's movies.
Fly out here.
Yeah, like there's movies.
See, what's the point? You'll miss your Christmas miracle day, whatever.
No, yeah, but like in movies, how they'll be like, like flying home for Christmas, or like flying our family out to like Texas or wherever we move. And like they're coming to our house for Christmas, and like you flew
for
there.
Our family all fly out.
I want to live my movie fantasy Christmas Day.
It's really hard.
We really do want like suggestions, you guys. I do. Brian's over here not even like agreeing to it. Like, what is a fucking reason? Okay, I literally cannot find a damn question because it's just like everybody's like, "How are you guys doing? How are you guys doing?" Like, I think people just naturally just ask like about that. Let's just close it off. How are you feeling? Because it's always about the mom. Even like when it comes to me, when I'm like, I've made a lot of friends in this grieving process, and I'm always thinking about the mom. That's who I'm in contact with, but we never think about the dad. And we know you guys are hurting, but like, how are you really doing? Like I know, like between me and you, like I know, like we talk about it, but like,
honestly. Like I'll never be 100, like that's just a fact. Like you're never gonna. It's just a scar that's gonna be with you till
100%
till my last days. And I don't know. Like obviously, it's just hard waking up every single day thinking it's just a bad dream or something, and it's just part of my reality. Where growing up, I never thought this would be a thing. Like oh no. It's so different. And like one, therapy helps, and family and friends talking to you, but it's just hard every single day. It's nothing like things could happen in someone's life and you just kind of get over it or whatever it is. And I feel like growing up, I dealt with a good amount of things, and I felt it was always just like, okay, another little bump in the road. But this,
it's something you can't move past.
it's just so much, and it's hard to handle.
Thank you.
But to say I'm okay, no. But at the same time, it's okay to not be okay.
Do you feel like you have to, like, because I'm very, like, expressive. Like, Bryan will literally, like, I'll wake him up, like, when I'm fucking crying at night. Yeah. Like, do you feel like because I'm so, like, expressive, like, with my emotions, like, I don't give you enough time for you
I
to
don't say
open
I'll
up?
be like, oh my God, I need my time or something like that. But I feel it's just a thing where guys hold in a lot of emotion, and, you know, we have to be the man about it, you know? And it's like, I can't show weakness. And I feel like a lot of men just grew up like that. But this is just like, I don't know. Obviously, it's hard, and obviously, I'm emotional, but I feel a lot of days where I have to be like, I can't show so much emotion or cry so much in front of you because.
And it's good to let it out because.
Oh no, it is, and I'll take showers and I'll start crying in the showers. I'll drive whenever I'm going to State Brother and I'll cry like crazy. You know, I'll let it out.
And
but
I don't see that.
Just, no.
But I think like it's okay to cry with me too.
And we do.
Because like for instance, right? I'm very like you never want to let it bottle in, right? Like for me.
And that's what I'm saying.
That's why I feel like I've gotten better.
Are like that where we just bottle in a lot of.
Like for example, like when it comes to talking about it, I've gotten better at talking about it because I'm learning to just like if I have to cry it, I've cried it. I'm getting better at speaking about it because you're bottling it in so much, trying to be the brave one while I'm having my meltdowns. Like I still can see that you have a very hard time talking about it, and it could be all those bottled up emotions. Yeah. Like I know that's a thing that like sometimes I'm like, fuck, I'm having so many meltdowns. Like I'm not even giving him time to like have his moment where I can like be on his shoulder. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I could be his shoulder to lean on.
Yeah, but at the same time, like as much as like we share emotions and cry about it and all that, like at the end of the day, I know, like just answering the question, I know I'll just never be okay again. You get me?
Yeah.
But obviously, everything does.
I will say
like,
though,
help.
Yeah. I will say though, you guys, like I'm really grateful that Bryan is someone that like even though he tries to be like strong for the both of us and maybe he bottles a lot in, he is still very open to talking about it. We talk about him every single day. When people say about relationships, you know, possibly when you lose someone that they go downhill and you end up getting divorced and all that, like luckily for us, like he is someone that will hear me out. I'm someone that will hear him out. Mm-hmm. If Bryan was somebody that completely closed off, didn't want to speak about him in general, got defensive, got angry, then I could see a marriage failing. But because we're very open, like I know he can hold a lot in, but also like moments like this where he does cry, I appreciate because I'm like, I know a lot of the times he bottles it in, but I appreciate that he's able to still express his emotions because I feel like a lot of men are too stubborn and think because you know, they're like the ones that hold the family together that they cannot express their emotions. So I'm really grateful that you're able to like express yourself and that you are willing to talk about my baby every minute of the day with me. Period.
And another thing too, for me, I feel I go back to kind of like leaving it in God's hands kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like as much as I know I'm not okay, there will be a day where God will like make me understand why everything went and happened, you know? Mm-hmm. And till that day, like on here on earth, I'll never understand. And there's going to be so much pain. But when the day comes and, you know, God will.
We'll have our answer, I think, one day, like when we see him face to face. But Yeah. Oh my God, you guys. That was one episode. I didn't even, to be honest, like when we started filming, I didn't know where we would go with it because it's just kind of like, sometimes you don't know how to bring certain things up. But like we said, when it comes to grief, I feel like certain people like sometimes are afraid to ask us how we're doing but when it comes to our son, honey, we're going to talk about him because I personally love talking about him. Like we will never stop talking about him. So,
yeah.
And if you're someone that lost a child, it's hard, but no one is going to keep your baby's memory alive like you are. No one is going to talk about your child like you are. No one is going to, like, period.
Anything. Love your child as you are. And everything. Like, and that's why, like, as much as how I was saying, like, we cry and I hold everything and cry in the car, whatever kind of thing. But when we talk about him and we have our good little moments with him and we'll just have stories with him and even his little friends and whatever.
We literally talk about it. Oh my, well, today we were literally, because Karina in the morning, she told us she was like feeling under the weather. And me and Bryan were saying that like, Briancito and his friend were like saying like, we have to take over today's episode. Like literally like saying that he was going to like him and his friend were going to take over the episode because he was like freaking out. Like we can't let them down. Like literally like we have a whole little personality for him. He's an icon. And I know if he could, he would definitely take over today's episode. But I'm really grateful, Bryan, for you expressing your feelings because I know how hard that is. And yeah. I appreciate that you came. It was a great conversation. These conversations, y'all, like we have behind the scenes of course, like we are just
kind of brought you guys
married. But I do appreciate that he is willing to open up because he doesn't really open up like this publicly, especially with like vlogs. I'm like the one that vlogs more and stuff. So I appreciate that he is like opening up, like knowing like this is like on camera. Like I feel like for me, it's important to have someone that like.
I kind of talk about.
I'm such an open book. For me, it's important for my husband to also be like open, because I have heard certain relationships where they just completely close off, and I feel like that would make me so sad. Because I want to talk about my baby. If we gotta cry, we gotta do, like as long as we're talking about my baby. So I say my baby, like it's obviously our baby, but like you guys know what I mean. Because I know some people are gonna be like, "Why are you saying mine?" It's like both of you guys, But yeah, you guys, we hope you enjoyed this episode and, thanks for coming along and being our co-host.
Yo, you're welcome.
Thanks, babe.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you guys. Sorry, babe. I didn't mean to cut you.
I was going to keep on going
Go ahead.
For a whole other hour. No, we're good.
I'm done.
Let's just say I liked it. No?
Queen. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks, babe, for coming on here. And hopefully me and Karina, we'll see you guys in the next one. We'll see you next time. If you want to come on.
Karina, I told you I have no makeup on.
Period. Thank you guys for watching. And me and Karina will see y'all in the next one.
Deuces.
Bye.